unknown testament in the Bible. A few weeks ago, Mr. Godwin gave us an assembly here, and he talked about the story of David and Goliath. After a show of hands, it was clear that not many of us knew the story. We hope we can change that today.
It all started a long time ago in the village of Bethlehem. There lived a young boy called David. He had 7 grown-up brothers, and 3 of them were soldiers in the king's army. David was the youngest one in the army, and he had to stay home. He would much rather have been fighting as a soldier once.
David loved music, and when he was very young, he taught himself to play the harp. He also was a farming and sheep. I loved how the sheep was music. One day, David was in the field when he saw a lion stalking the sheep in the bushes. Ah, sneaky lion, looking for an easy dinner, are you? Well, I guess I shall have to stop this. Now, how shall I do it? Will it be with my razor-sharp knife or my trusty slingshot? David picked up a stone from the ground, loaded his slingshot, and took aim. The stone hit the lion straight between the eyes. Ha! I never miss. Now be off with you, lion, and don't come near a sheep again. The following week, David was having a rest under a tree when suddenly he heard lots of bleating from the sheep across the field. As the sheep ran off, David saw a huge bear trying to swallow one of the sheep. In the blink of an eye, David had his slingshot in his hand loaded with a handy stone, took aim and fired. The bear swayed from side to side, staggered around on the spot, fell down flat on the ground, dead. Well, you shouldn't have tried to take one of my sheep, old bear. No one messed with my flock. Meanwhile, Saul, the king of Israel, was very ill. Doctors thought music would cheer him up and make him feel better. David's soldier brothers knew how good he was at playing the harp, so they sent for him to play for the king. Oh, Father, please tell me how David is.
Of course. Go on, David.
David played the harp so well that the king felt a lot better. He often asked David to play his harp for him over the years, and they got to know each other quite well. Years later, the king's army had to get ready for war. The Philistines had invaded the land of the Israelites, and they brought their troops to challenge King Saul. Goliath was 10 feet tall. His helmet and body armor were made of glass, and his sword was razor sharp. His gigantic shield, heavy sword, Goliath strode towards the Israelites and fell into the canyon. Hey, puny Israelites, send one man out to fight against me. If he wins, we will be your slaves, but if I win, you will be our slaves. No Israelite can defeat Goliath, and if we accept the challenge, one of us will die and will become the slaves of the Philistines. If we fight army to army, could
fighting Goliath on their side?
No! The Israelites stayed silent and ashamed, too afraid to accept the challenge.
One evening, David's father put together a package of food and said to his son,
David, take this food to your brother Leon. They have been away fighting for a long time and they will need this nourishment.
David was delighted, even though he couldn't fight, at least he would get to see what was happening. He bundled up the food and set off patrolling next morning. When David reached the valley, he saw the army walking around the camp, not ready to fight at all. His brothers were nervous and anxious. They told David that the enemy had a terrible weapon and they didn't know what to do.
David looked over to the enemy army. Out stepped a man as tall as the tallest tree he had ever seen. The soldiers trembled when they saw him.
Goliath stepped forward from the Philistines' camp and turned to face King Saul. Shouting out the challenge he had shouted for the last 40 mornings.
Hey, puny Israelites, send one man out to fight against me. If he wins, we will be your slaves, but if I win, you will be our slaves.
David told King Saul that he would fight the giant. Please let me do this, King Saul. I know I look small, but I have stood up to lions and bears and have won every fight, and I know in my heart that God will protect me.
Okay, young David, I must see what you are doing in the days of your faith. May God be on your side, but you must take my power to protect you.
King Saul gave David his armor, but when David tried it on, it was much too big and he couldn't even walk in. He knew he would have to fight Goliath his own way.
Carefully, David chose 5 smooth stones from the ground and, holding his sling, walked into the valley.
Goliath couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the smallest boy he had ever seen coming towards him, and he bellowed across the valley.
Ha 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 ha! What? You sent this puny, tiny boy to fight against me? The mighty Goliath? I will crush your boy with one hand, and then you Israelites will become our slaves. Ha ha ha!
David calmly loaded the stones into his sling, steadied his arm, closed one eye, took aim, letting the stone fly, hit Goliath in the middle of his forehead, and the giant crashed to the ground.
David ran over and lifted Goliath's massive sword. The sword fell and the giant's head was sliced off. David had won.
Hooray!
King Saul and his army fled and the Philistines fled in panic. David became a hero.
For many years after that, King Saul ruled the Israelites, who were happy that they were free people. Sadly, one day King Saul died, and then David became king of Israel himself, because he had shown such bravery and courage against the mighty God.
There was a boy who would be king, and David was his name. Oh, he
together and close your eyes.